Why would a heart that had stopped 3 days ago suddenly start beating again? Is there an invisible force that can push open a heavy steel door from the inside? And why, when the dead return from their sleep, do they always leave a note? Imagine the smell, that sharp, pungent smell of formalin that hits your nose and makes your throat tighten. It never leaves you, does it? The air here is icy cold, so cold that even taking a deep breath hurts your lungs. All you can hear is a mechanical hum, that low, continuous humming sound of the cooling units, as if the silence is trying to hide something. You are alone, or at least you think you are alone. The tube light overhead is flickering, and it casts long, dancing shadows on the metal lockers. Every shadow feels like a hand reaching out to you. Every sound of footsteps on the floor is like someone's feet slapping on wet concrete. You try to convince yourself that it's just the sound of a water pipe. You try to convince yourself that the dead can't move. But deep down, in that primitive part of your brain that still fears the dark, you know something is wrong. Very wrong. My name is Arthur, and I've been working the night shift at St. Jude's morgue for the past 15 years. I thought I'd seen everything in life. Bodies battered by trains, faces blue with pain, and eyes staring at you from every corner of the room. But for what happened last Tuesday, nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared me. Outside it was raining heavily. A devastating storm was breaking through the sky, pounding like an angry fist against the high windows of our morgue. The sound of the bells shook the entire building, and the metal trays clanged in the shaking. I sat at my desk, trying to do a crossword puzzle, trying to get over the unease in my mind that someone was standing right behind my chair. But every time I turned around, there was nothing but an empty corridor. It was exactly 3 o'clock in the morning. It was time for my rounds. It was our usual routine, checking temperatures, checking logbooks, making sure all our guests, the dead bodies, were sleeping peacefully. I picked up my clipboard and started walking down the long, sterile corridor. The lights were a little louder than usual today. The sound of my shoes echoed. Knock, knock, knock. It was like gunshots were being fired in the quiet room. I stopped in front of Unit 402. Inside was Mr. Elias Thorne. He was a millionaire, a loner, a man who had died all alone in his great mansion. He had been brought here yesterday morning. A heart attack. No mystery. Just a rich old man whose heart had finally given up. I looked at the temperature meter. Everything was normal, but then I noticed something. The latch on the door. It wasn't completely flush with the metal frame. It was slightly, ever so slightly turned. My heart skipped a beat in my chest. I knew for sure I had locked it. I distinctly remembered the mechanical click as I let him in. Even though the room was below freezing, beads of sweat formed on my forehead. My hands were shaking as I reached out to grab the cold steel handle. It felt as cold as ice, so cold that it burned my hand. I gripped the handle tightly. I pulled. It took no effort to open the door. It swung open smoothly, silently, as if the hinges had just been oiled. I braced myself for the sight of Mr. Thorne's pale, waxy face. I was prepared for the dull gleam of those dead eyes. But when the tray came out, my breath caught in my throat. It was empty. No body bag, no white sheet. There was nothing there. Just the cold, shiny metal tray reflecting the flickering light above. I staggered back. My head was spinning. It was impossible. Dead bodies can't get up and walk away. Is this some kind of farce? Had someone from the day shift moved him and forgotten to write in the logbook? I looked around the room like a madman. "Hello," I shouted. My throat was breaking. "Is anyone there?" Silence. Only the hum of the refrigerators answered me. I took another step toward the empty tray, trying to find a logical explanation. That's when I saw it. Right in the middle of the tray, where Mr. Thorne's head should have been, was a small, crumpled piece of paper. It looked white against the gray metal. I didn't want to touch it. Every nerve in my body was screaming at me to run away, to close the door and never come back. But curiosity is the greatest trap of all. I reached out. My finger touched the paper. It was ice cold. I slowly opened the paper. The handwriting was shaky, uneven, as if it had been written by a hand that hadn't held a pen for years. Or maybe like this, written in a hand that had hardened after death. There were only 3 words written on it. "I am coming home. That is, I am home, returning." I stared at the note. The ink still felt fresh, wet. I dropped the paper as if it were burning me. Home? Which home? His huge palace or somewhere else? Suddenly all the lights in the morgue went out. It was pitch black. I froze. I could hear my own heart beating inside my ribs, like a caged bird. Then I heard it. A sound was coming from the far corner of the room. A wet, dragging sound. Slap, drag, slap, drag. The sound was getting closer and closer. Just before you find out what was coming out of the darkness, I have a very humble request for you. Did you know that there are some ancient cursed books in this world that when read, people start seeing invisible shadows? If you want to discover that secret and forbidden knowledge and become one of our brave family, please tap the subscribe button now. I promise every story on this channel will make you rethink how safe you really are. I groped in the dark for my flashlight. My hand was shaking so much that it almost fell. I switched it on. A sharp line of light cut through the darkness and through the dust particles. I shone the light towards the corner where the sound was coming from. Nothing, just empty lockers. I shone the light to the left. Nothing. I shone the light to the right towards the door. And there, in front of those heavy double doors, stood a figure. It was quite tall. It was wearing a loose hospital gown that hung over its skeletal body. His back was to me. "Mr. Thorne?" I whispered. The shadow figure did not move. The storm water outside was seeping in under the door, pooling around his bare, gray feet. Slowly, painfully slowly, the figure began to turn. His neck stiffened. There was a crack, like a dry branch snapping. I could see the side of his face. It was him. But his eyes were not dead. They were wide open, and they burned with a terrible, hungry intelligence. He looked at me, and then he smiled. A smile that was much wider than it needed to be. The skin at the corners of his mouth was tearing. He raised a finger. He pointed not at me, but behind me. I looked back slowly. My soul was drying with fear. Behind me, on the wall, was a calendar. Today's date was written on it, and circled in red ink was my address. My home address. The realization of that moment hit me physically. The note. I was going home. He didn't say his home. He meant my home. I ran. I didn't look back. I ran to the door, past that statue, through the storm, through the darkness of the night. I drove home, faster than I've ever driven in my life. I locked every door. I slammed the window. But now, as I sit here telling you this story, I can hear something outside. Slap, drag, slap, drag. The sound has come up the porch, and now the doorknob is slowly, very slowly, turning. If you liked today's chilling experience, then I humbly request you to give the video a like to boost our morale, and share this video with your friend who says he is not afraid of ghosts. Tell me in the comments, if someone knocks on your door in the middle of the night, will you open it or not? Be careful, and whatever you do, do not open the door.